Okay, so many people have a way of expressing themselves. Either that's through videos or sometimes through Snapchat stories to even just the littlest thing of writing things down. As you guys may know, back when I was young in middle school, I used to write all my stuff in a journal. It wasn't a diary, it was a journal. And this is where I would write almost all my secrets of basically me back then. Middle school is where I found the things I loved and wanted to keep in my life forever. For example, women, Batman, superheroes, comic books, even video games. But finding out a girl's secret, well, that's a whole different story. And that's the story I'm going to be giving you guys today. But before we get into it, make sure you guys do leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Also, as we speak right now, I am live on Kick streaming and having fun talking to you guys, telling crazy stories just like this one. So join in on the live streams and let's just get straight into this. Yo, what is going on, you guys? My name's Bubba and welcome back to another insane story. So today's story is something that I really don't know if anyone should do. But if you have a crush that owns a diary, well, my advice would be reading it. I remember back when I was in middle school, there was a girl in my class that I really liked. Now, I talk about her in a ton of stories. I think this girl to this day maybe might be my dream girl. Or maybe not, because now she's like a famous cheerleader, but that's not the point. I remember back when I was in middle school, there was one girl I was, well, considering my crush. She was amazing, she was funny, she had amazing eyes, and honestly, to this day, she still does. Wow, I should maybe really try to get in contact with her. But I remember one time, I was sitting down in the hallway writing in my journal, thinking how cool it would be to be, well, a professional YouTuber one day. Funny enough, that ended up coming true, but still, going on. Anyways, I remember my crush ended up turning the corner, and she saw me sitting on the ground writing in this journal. She looked at me and tilted her head and said, Bubba, I have a question. As I closed my book really quickly, I remember I look at her and say, oh yeah, like what's up? She looks at me and says, so like you write in that thing every day. Yeah, what about it? Is what I said. And then she told me, well, I was thinking about getting a diary, but like, I don't know like how to really use it. And I remember I looked at her and my eyes opened wide. First thing I said was, okay, this is a journal, not a diary. Just so you know, I made sure I held my masculinity in front of her. But then also I told her writing into a journal is something that is a daily process. You know what I mean? It's something that is harder than it looks. Like seriously, anyone watching this video right now, go buy a book and try to write into it as much as you can every day. It's honestly really hard for some people since we have technology to do everything. But then I told her, honestly, like my advice, just kind of just get a journal and then just write down whatever you feel. That's kind of like the best way to really explain it, is what I told her. And then I also told her, you see, the same way you talk to friends and you rant about things, I do that with my journal. That way no one hears it other than paper. She looks at me and starts laughing. And then she says, honestly, Bubba, you're actually really smart. And then she ended up walking away. At that point, I'm not gonna lie, I don't think she was actually going to get a journal. But who knows? Maybe she would? It wasn't really my place to say. But also on top of that, having a journal is a big commitment that I don't think most commonly middle schoolers can handle. So I remember I ended up just kind of writing in my journal, explaining how that all just happened, because me talking to my crush was like a big achievement in my life. But then 3 days later, I remember after the weekend, I ended up going to school and I ended up walking down the hallway and I saw my middle school crush writing down something in a journal. I looked at her and I saw she bought like a pink notebook kind of that said Dear Diary on the top of it, and it also had like one of those weird keys and locks that you would get for like, you know, locking like a safe or something. So when I saw that, I was first off kind of jealous because I wish my journal had a lock on it, but also like she actually got one. She got an actual journal. And I remember at first I'm like, okay, you know, it's none of my business. It's her journal, same way I have my journal. It's a win-win. But then I remember as days went on of her writing down stuff in there that I didn't know about, it got me going crazy. Because think about it, all of my crush's secrets, everything she ever loves and knows is in that book, and I don't have it. Like, how else am I supposed to communicate with a really fine girl that I like without actually having to talk to her, because I ended up just usually wazzing my pants? See what I'm getting at here? That book was a secret weapon. It was like the nuclear launch codes of Russia. That's not a good thing to say, actually, but going on. So I remember I made it my mission to basically get the journal. I needed that journal no matter what. And what ended up happening was, well, I think almost illegal. I remember after school that day, I ended up basically going back home, and I basically went on my Xbox and started talking to my friend. I started explaining how she also has like a journal and she's writing down stuff. My friends made fun of me of saying that's a diary, but you know what? I ignored them and I told them that I need that book. And my friends would tell me, okay, well, if you want it so bad, she probably puts it in her locker, knowing that's like a safer place than anywhere else. So just go get it from her locker. Huh, is what I said. Why didn't I think of that? So I remember what I ended up doing was I ended up actually, funny enough, telling my friends and planning a way to go to her locker and steal the journal. It was basically like a heist. So I remember the next day at school, when I had a class with my crush, I ended up seeing if she had her journal on her. Clearly she didn't, because honestly, she had one of those really weird, like classy, transparent backpacks where you could see what's in her backpack, which is kind of a weird trend, but at the same time, it really did benefit me in some way. So I remember me seeing that the book wasn't in there. I decided to basically raise my hand in the middle of class and ask to go to the bathroom, when in reality, I wasn't going to the bathroom. I went straight to my crush's locker, and when I got there, I remember I had to know her combination. Now, lucky for me, I actually already knew the combination. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, because my locker was right beside hers, and every time she put her combination down, I would always look, and I kind of memorized it by heart, which is really bad. But going on, I remember I ended up opening her locker and taking the book and shoving it into my locker. I left it in there and I went back straight to class so no suspicion would arise. And then right as class ended, the bell rang to go to lunch. And I remember I ran straight to my locker as fast as I could, opened it, grabbed the book, put it in my backpack that wasn't transparent, by the way, and instantly ran to the music room. I went to the music room because there were these private rooms that you could go into to practice singing without anyone looking. Kind of like an embarrassment saving method, I guess they have back in middle school. And I remember I sat down, I opened the book, and I was reading it. I was reading and reading and reading, and other than my crush having really bad grammar, I learned a lot. Like, for example, she likes it when I wear plaid, for example, and that she wishes that all guys would play a sport. And apparently she was into some guy named Zac Efron. I have no idea, to be honest. But I remember I studied that book like as if it was my next biggest test. And also I did take some photos to take home to memorize as well. I took the photos with my iPod Touch. I love that thing, by the way. And then afterwards, I remember right as I finished taking enough photos and reading it, because she didn't have the journal for long, I remember I ran back to the locker right when the bell rang to go to our next class, and luckily she didn't notice it was gone. So what I ended up doing was, well, opening her locker and shoving the book back in there. But then before I closed the locker and decided to actually, like, you know, leave the book, I couldn't do it. I don't know what it was about me, but I just couldn't leave it. I felt like I was missing something. I wasn't sure what. So I remember I opened the book again and I started skimming through it really fast in front of my crush's locker. Like, this was the worst part of the mission that I don't think anyone should do. As I was looking through it though, I remember I went to the very last page and there was a list called My Crushes. At this point, I was reading through the list, I was looking through it, and I saw my name. I saw my name under the list of my crushes. And even though there were 10 guys and I was, you know, in that list, I was 8th. That means I had a chance. Knowing this, I was excited. And at that point, I knew I had to eliminate the competition. Okay. So everyone has stolen before, okay? Like, I'm sorry to break this to you, but I think everyone has actually stolen something in their life. Either it comes to a candy bar, to literally getting like a full-on Slurpee from 7-Eleven. But honestly, there's like a certain amount of stealing you can only do in this world until you, like, I don't know, can actually get full-on arrested for it. And this story kind of gets along to that. So just stay tuned. You're gonna laugh your socks off, or even kind of be concerned for me in a way. But honestly, you know, these stories are always trying to be relatable to you guys. And honestly, I have very exciting news. We're gonna be releasing merch sometime soon, so get ready for that. It's gonna be very exciting. A link will be in the description if you guys really want to go check those out. But anyways, guys, let's get straight into it. So, yo, what is going on, you guys? My name's Bubba, and welcome back to another crazy story. So if you guys don't know, obviously, you know, I'm a basic 20-year-old person right now. I'm just chilling here, you know, sitting in my chair, telling you guys these crazy stories about my life. And usually all of them like require like something to do with a girl. But honestly, this one is kind of like a different take on it, and at the same time not, because like if you guys saw from the title, obviously you guys would tell that this is about a girl stealing, which is not cool. Honestly, girls shouldn't steal, nor guys, nor anyone in a way. Back when I was in high school, I gotta say, like, our high school was really close to a mall. I think I mentioned this in one of the older stories, but like my high school I went to was really close to this mall that was like literally like not even a 5-minute walk away, and getting there was really easy. And I'm not gonna lie, a lot of the times kids would like go to the 7-Eleven that's literally across the street from literally my school and like steal things all the time. Either it would be like a candy bar or, you know, Slurpee. Like I think everyone has done it, and it got to the point where they actually like put teachers like on patrol to make sure kids weren't stealing at the like 7-Eleven or like the local candy shops that's around there. Kind of sad actually seeing little kids steal, or high schoolers steal in a way. But at the same time, I kind of get it. You know, if your mom forgets to pack your lunch, like, you know, my mom never did, because she was just a super ultra super cool mega mom. I love you, mom. But no, seriously, like when it really comes to stealing, it's just a big no-no, dude. Like I don't really know why people really do it. Like I'm surprised they don't feel bad after it. But I remember one time when I was walking through the hallways of, you know, my school and stuff, we had this like friend group, and my friend knew this chick that was, you know, a really basic girl. Like she wasn't anything crazy. I'm not gonna say like, you know, she was the hottest girl ever like I usually do in my stories, because she really wasn't. She was a really basic chick. Sorry, let me rephrase that again. Girl, okay? I don't say chicks anymore. I say girls. Okay, we're gonna say girls. I know, I grew up in Canada, okay? Like I'm a Canadian, and like a lot of people I grew up with would like, you know, always say chick and stuff. And like I used to watch those cartoons that said chick, like, oh, check out this chick, Bugs or something like that. So like I don't know, I was just kind of used to it. I guess that's what you get from watching Looney Tunes. But anyways, sorry, like I was saying, this girl wasn't really like that insane. She was a simple girl. You know, it's not like I would go to her Instagram page and, you know, like every photo of hers. You know, it's nothing that insane when it came to this girl. But I'm not gonna lie, she was one of those girls that like had a lot of personality in her. She was entertaining and she was fun, and those are always the best type of girls, I want to say. Like if you're one of those, like, you know, thumbs up to you, you're doing outstanding with your life for sure. But at the same time, when it comes to like going out with you guys and doing things, I don't know, you guys really seem rebellious. Like I'm not saying this girl was like, you know, full on rebel, but at the same time, she really didn't care what her parents or anyone thought of her, which is like sometimes a good thing. But when you take it to that point where it's like kind of sad, then you should somewhat care. Like this is human nature. Everyone should care about their image. It is a human thing. Okay, like one minute you're ugly, the next minute, you know, you maybe had a glow up or something like I did back when I was a kid. But at the same time, you know, you have to agree with sometimes the people that are telling you you're ugly, and, you know, make that stand and take constructive criticism. There you go. That's the word for it. Constructive criticism. Anyways, I guess that was a little life lesson for you. But anyways, going on with the story, I remember when we were going to the mall, like one time, it was like after school, I don't know, we were just going around and stuff, and little did I know that the girl that, you know, was my friend's friend in a way, kind of somewhat liked me. Like it wasn't like heavy flirting, but like, you know, she was into me somewhat, and it was kind of off-putting because, like I said, I wasn't into her, but she liked me. And I remember we were walking around the mall and stuff as of like a friend group, and then later on we started like slowly disbanding from like our friends and stuff, and like started splitting up into different places. The girl started following me around somewhat, and like, you know, we went to like EB games and we went to all these things, and like basically every time like I touched something and said like, oh, this is so cool, like I'm gonna, you know, maybe buy it when I get my next McDonald's paycheck or something. Yes, I worked at McDonald's when I was a kid. She would like be like, oh, okay, like, you know, I guess that's cool. And like, you know, kind of like play off like as if like, you know, nothing's happening. And as we went to like every single store, I don't know what ended up happening, but we had security guards like, you know, starting following us. And it sucked because I didn't know why security guards were following us, but at the same time, I really didn't care. We just kept going into different stores. You know, I kept hanging out with this girl. And I want to say like, as like, you know, every store we went to, she started like filling up her pockets. Like one minute, this girl's like jumping around, you know, doing some goofy stuff. And the next minute, she's just walking around with her hands in her pockets, like every single pocket she got, and she's just like, you know, waddling around. I didn't think of it at first because I thought she was just, you know, having one of those moments, like, you know, when you eat a lot, or when you're on your month, I guess I should say. I don't know, I'm a guy, I don't know how the month works for the ladies, but sorry, I don't know. I have some kind of concern for you guys with that. Yeah, I'm a good guy, I'm still single. But no, seriously, like I was just like kind of like trying to figure out like what was going on when it came to her. And like I want to say, I remember like I was like kind of like observing what she was doing and stuff. So I remember we went into EB Games, or GameStop in a way. And I remember I was looking at these earbuds. I didn't want them, but I was just looking at them. And I remember I held them up. I looked at them like, oh, these are really cool. I don't know. I think they were like some kind of Razer earbuds. I'm not sure. And I remember I put it back down and I walked away. The next minute, I do a lap around like the aisle in a way, and I see they're gone. I'm like, did someone already buy them? And then she looks at me and starts giggling. She's like, like, no, don't worry about it. Let's just leave, bruh. At that point, I knew why there were security guards following us, and I knew why something was up. So I remember we started like walking out of the EB Games because like I did not want to be in that scenario or in trouble in a way. So I was walking away. I was kind of panicking in my, my heart in a way. And I straight up like started kind of heading towards the parking lot to get to my car. When I got to my car, I remember I sat down in my car. She sat down in the passenger seat and she looked at me and she's like, I got you everything you wanted. Bruh, you didn't get me them. You stole them. I remember looking at her in panic and I was like, you literally just stole all this, right? And as she was like, emptying her pockets and stuff, a security guard literally came up to my side of the window and he knocked on my window. As I rolled down my window, I was like, is there seem to be a problem? Excuse me, son. Do you have the receipt for those? Are you joking? Are you flipping joking, bro? At that point, I knew we were like totally screwed. Like, I'm not even joking. I was asked to get out of the car. She was asked to get out of the car. We both were like escorted into like this secret area in the mall, which I've been to many times, actually. You guys will hear more of that story in the future when I feel comfortable enough saying it. But no, seriously, I was escorted out of the mall and so was she. And like, we were escorted to the secret room and like, I don't know. It was just so weird. Basically, we had to wait till the cops came and then our mom and dad had to come and I got grounded and she got grounded. But then I had to explain to my dad how she was the thief, not me. She did all the stealing, blah, blah, blah. And long story short, it just sucked. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. After a while, she started Snapchatting me saying, hey, like, do you want to sneak out of the house and stuff? Obviously, I said no. Like, I was pissed. Like, bro, are you joking? But other than that, it just sucked. Anyways, guys, that's basically it for the story. Make sure you guys leave a like and subscribe. Thank you guys so much for all the support on these stories. They're outstanding. And like I said about the merch shop earlier in the video, merch is down below if you guys do want to check it out. And if you guys do want to purchase it early, this is the one time to do it. We're going to leave it up for the Christmas time that's coming around, because Christmas is coming up. You already know. So if you guys want to get yourself, I don't know, a Devil's Tango t-shirt or something neat for your family members, or even a Devil's Tango pillow, I mean, sheesh. Now, I think it's a quote from Juice WRLD that all girls are the same. And in this case, I highly do believe that. Because today's story is honestly something brutally insane. And I just want to say there's no way this actually ended up happening to me. And honestly, to this day, I'm actually sometimes still sad about it. But at the same time, what can I say? Sometimes history repeats itself. Yo, what is going on, you guys? My name's Bubba, and welcome back to another insane story. So today's story takes place back when I was in high school. Now, back when I was in high school, I was a major gamer. And by major, I mean I would enjoy playing video games because it was the only thing that actually brought happiness to my life. I think that's part of the reason why I'm still a YouTuber. But I remember back in high school, all I would majorly do is just play video games. And I'm not gonna lie, me also in high school was a major Devil's Tango addict. Like, no joke, I would always end up doing the Devil's Tango with a ton of different girls. So knowing this, sometimes girls would always want to try to get into a relationship with me. But me back in high school, and I guess even now, I'm not really the relationship type. It's just not for me. So I remember basically one time I was playing a video game and just enjoying chilling myself. And I remember I ended up getting a Snapchat from a girl that was in my school. Now, this girl was just a normal friend of mine. And to be honest, me and her, we only talked once in a while. It's not like we were actually like in any way like flirty or, even thinking about doing the Devil's Tango. But for some reason, this girl on this day when I was playing Call of Duty, for some reason, decided to switch things up. I remember she ended up snapping me her cherries and peaches. And I don't know what happened. I ended up messaging her in the chat as I swiped in saying, yo, did you mean to like send that to me? She ended up saying yes. And she ended up basically confessing that she really liked me and that she wanted to see if things could go further. Now, I found this awkward because yes, I do sometimes friend zone girls. It's a very rare chance, but sometimes if I really value a relationship or a friendship, I should say, I don't really just go for it. Because back in high school, I had a golden rule where basically once I do them, I don't do them again unless I really like them. Or I make sure there's no strings attached so I can just enjoy myself. And I remember I ended up texting this girl saying, yo, listen, like, I'm not trying to be in a relationship. Like, you're hot and all, and I would, but like, I'm just not really down for it right now. And for her, she did not take that excuse. She ended up saying, are you kidding me? Like, why don't we just like do it? Like, no strings attached. Okay, like, I'm down for that. And ended up agreeing just to do the Devil's Tango. So at that point, I was like, okay, whatever. She's cool with it. And me and her, we ended up basically planning a time to do it. I remember the next day at school, for some reason, my friend ended up walking up to me saying, yo, Bubba, like, are you actually gonna do her? I ended up looking at my buddy thinking, yo, like, where'd you even hear this from? And he ended up explaining to me that apparently she was spreading the rumor that apparently me and her were basically getting together. Now, when I first heard the word getting together, I didn't think of a relationship getting together. I thought she was just spreading around that me and her were doing the Devil's Tango. And that's it. Because honestly, it wouldn't be the first time a girl decided to flex doing the Devil's Tango with me. So I thought that was the case, and I decided to say, oh yeah, like, we are. And then basically, me and my buddies, we ended up going to class. I remember we went to class though, I ended up getting Snapchats from the girl that was going to see me after school to do the Devil's Tango, and ended up sending me heart emojis and basically, you know, acting like we were basically in a relationship. Like, she even called me babe. Like, who are you to call me babe when literally all I'm using you for is the Devil's Tango? So I remember I ended up texting her, hey, remember, this was no strings attached. I'm not trying to do anything, you know? Like, it's just an activity. And she ended up basically saying, oh, like, yeah, exactly. Like, that's exactly what I meant. Okay, cool, is what I said. And then I ended up going throughout my school day. Now, this is where the story kind of gets interesting. So I remember after school that day, me and her, we ended up getting in my car and we ended up driving over to my place. When we got to my place, my house was empty, and me and her, we ended up doing the Devil's Tango. Like, we just got straight to it. We didn't, you know, pause. We didn't stop or anything. We kind of just jumped straight into the gun. But then I remember as me and her were doing the Devil's Tango, you know, one thing led to another. We ended up laying down beside each other, and she ended up saying 3 words to me that kind of freaked me out. She ended up saying, I love you. Now, the I love you card is a really strong word. Don't get me wrong. I've said it a couple times to women, and to this day, I regret it. But at the same time, though, you never know. This I love you card is a big deal. Think about it. It's the thing that you say to your mother. It's the thing you say to your father. It's literally the thing you say to someone that takes care of you and actually loves you. So if you're going around saying it to random people, first off, you're weird. But second, I remember when she said that to me as we were laying down, I panicked. I remember I looked at her and stood up and put on my pants and said, yo, you shouldn't really say that. Like, I thought I told you, no strings attached. She ended up feeling bad and she ended up turning her face red and she's like, oh, like, I'm sorry, like, I messed up. I didn't mean it that way. Right. Okay, cool, is what I ended up saying afterwards. And then I remember I ended up basically just turning on my Xbox and decided to play video games as she was just laying in my bed, not wearing anything. I remember she got super confused and annoyed and she's like, why don't you just come back to bed? Sorry, I'm just playing video games, is what I said. And I ended up hopping on an Xbox party with the boys and started talking to them through my headset. I remember at that point, this girl was mad. Like, she was actually upset and I have no idea why. It was weird to me because, you know, what, I can't play video games with the boys? So I remember she ended up basically getting upset saying, oh, like, you're really just gonna leave me here? Yeah, is what I said. Because boys, let me give you a piece of advice. All girls want attention. All girls will always thrive for attention. So if you give them that attention, they will always expect more of it. But if you're smart, you will limit that. You will limit the basically attention they want, so they will always stick by your side and want more. Where did I learn this from? Well, all my years of doing the Devil's Tango. And still to this day. Sorry, anyways, going on with the story, I remember she ended up getting upset and basically stood up and started getting her clothes on and said, okay, well, I'm just gonna go home. All right, have fun. And she ended up basically going home and leaving as I was just sitting playing my Xbox. I remember the boys ended up hearing the conversation and how basically she got mad at me and ended up laughing over the mic saying, bro, there's no way you just did that. You're so based. Yeah, I guess I am, is what I said. And I ended up playing just video games afterwards. Anyways, afterwards, the next day at school, I remember I ended up going to school and the same girl that did the Devil's Tango ended up walking up to me in class and saying, oh, like, you didn't text me back. Is everything all right? Yeah, everything's fine. I just didn't text you back. My bad. And I remember when I said that to her, she got really upset. She ended up saying, are you seriously just like ignoring me and choosing your video games over me? Like, who do you think you are? I ended up looking at her thinking, why are you bringing up my video games as we're in the middle of class? And basically one thing led to another. My teacher told us to take the outside and me and her, we basically started arguing outside. She ended up saying how, you know, I turned her down and basically I hurt her feelings and all this stuff. I don't know. She ended up just saying a bunch of stuff about her feelings. When in reality, I ended up telling her, hey, ever since the beginning, I said no strings attached. She got super upset and she ended up saying, okay, fine. You know what? You don't want any strings attached? Fine. Just go play your video games, Bubba. Go play your video games like every other loser. Okay, is what I said. And I ended up going back inside and going back to class. I remember around lunchtime though, my friends ended up saying how the girl that I ended up doing the Devil's Tango with, and you know, the one that basically said, I love you, ended up basically leaving class early. She ended up leaving the school early and said apparently that she had a stomach ache. I don't know if that's because I totally turned her down in front of the school, but I mean, it is what it is. I remember I ended up just going throughout my day, and then I remember I ended up getting a text message from my mom. My mom ended up saying, Bubba, the motion sensor went off at home. Are you home early today? I ended up thinking who would be home. I was so confused when my mom texted me that, and I ended up saying, oh no, it's probably dad maybe. And then she ended up texting me back after school saying, oh no, your dad's with me. At that point, I was trying to think who else would be able to enter my door. And then I realized there's only one other girl that actually remembers basically where I put my spare key when I go to my house, because I had to use it when I invited her over so my parents wouldn't know I brought a chick over. And that was the girl that said, I love you. Now at this point, I remember freaking out. I'm like, oh God, this is not good. So I remember I ended up basically getting my car as fast as I could and getting home as soon as possible. When I got home, I remember I looked around and I basically was seeing how the place was perfectly normal, except the door was already left open. So I remember I ended up looking around, and when I looked around, I saw nothing was there. So I ended up going downstairs to my room, my basement that I used to have back when I was younger in high school, and I saw someone took my Xbox One. And not only that, they took my monitor with them. They ended up leaving one of my monitors slanted, and there was a note on the desk saying, "Who do you love more, me or your dumb Xbox?" At that point, I was so upset. You guys have no idea. This girl messed with the wrong man. Because when a girl messes with me, well, what can I say? You get the alpha male coming out. Or actually, I'm always an alpha male, but that's not the point. Anyways, guys, that is it for the first part of the story. I'm going to do the next part soon. I have a lot of stories that I need to take care of because I know a lot of you guys are saying that you want the next part for me and my crush. So I'll make sure to get that to you guys. But also, like I always say, just fall for more embarrassing stories. All right, peace out, guys.